They told you empathy was your superpower. They lied. It's a weapon, and it's been used to burn you out, hollow you out, and drive you from the profession you were born to do. This isn't about being tired. This is about being consumed. And I know it's real because I watched it gut one of the best teachers I've ever known. Welcome to Waves of Change. This is my journey of retiring, relocating, and writing what peace means for me. Because you're never too late and your peace is never too far. My friend Sally was one of those teachers, the kind parents requested and students remembered forever. I had that unique window into her life and I saw the toll it was taking. She'd come to me, her face etched with exhaustion, and tell me about a student. Let's call him Leo. Leo was struggling, slipping grades, withdrawn, instability at home. And Sally, because she was a great teacher, jumped in head first. Her heart ached for him. She promised his mom she'd do everything she could to help. And she did. She stayed late creating modified assignments. She spent her own money on his school supplies. She used her lunches just to go and check in on him. She was being empathetic. She was being the good teacher. What neither of us realized was that she was absorbing his trauma as her own. That one student story became 10 and then 20. Each one a new weight she felt it was hers to carry. Her empathy, her greatest superpower, had become a trap. It was leading her down a path of complete exhaustion, and I could see she felt totally and completely alone. What I was watching Sally experience actually has a name: compassion fatigue. It's a term we've long associated with first responders, nurses, and therapists, people on the front lines of human suffering. But it's only recently that the conversation has started to include educators, the professionals who spend more waking hours with our kids than almost anyone else. Now, compassion fatigue is not the same thing as burnout. Burnout is what happens from general prolonged work stress, too much paperwork, not enough resources, crazy long hours. Think of it like running a marathon with no finish line in sight. You're just physically and emotionally spent from the sheer volume of it all. The numbers are grim. Even with some recent signs of improvement, a 2025 RAND survey still found that 50% of K through 12 teachers feel burnout. For years, teacher retention has been a massive challenge, and burnout is a huge reason why. But compassion fatigue is a whole different animal. It's more insidious. It's defined as a type of burnout, but it's characterized by this profound emotional, mental, and even spiritual exhaustion. It's the very cost of caring. It comes directly from the emotional labor of empathizing with students who are going through trauma, things like poverty, neglect, abuse, even loss. It's the secondary traumatic stress that settles in when you constantly hear about and witness the devastating experiences of others. Empathy is supposed to be a teacher's superpower, right? It's how we build relationships and create a safe classroom. It's what pushes us to connect with the students who's acting out, not just punish them. But it's a double-edged sword. When you're surrounded by the quiet, unspoken pain of your students, that empathy can become a pipeline for their trauma. You start to absorb it. In fact, some studies show that the toll is staggering. A shocking 2024 Australian study found that educators can experience secondary traumatic stress at rates higher than paramedics and mental health nurses. The very quality that makes someone a dedicated, caring teacher becomes the source of their own distress. We get into this profession to help, to relieve suffering, but we're often completely unprepared for the emotional price of that calling. Many of us don't even see it happening. Compassion is seen as a requirement in education, so we just keep giving, not realizing that this overcaring can become self-destructive. We think being a good teacher means staying calm, patient, and understanding no matter what. This relentless emotional output without the tools or support to recharge is the empathy trap. It's what turns a passion for teaching into a source of deep personal pain. The empathy trap doesn't just make you tired, it fundamentally changes who you are, both in the classroom and out of the classroom. I watched it happen to Sally, and the cost was steep, seeping into every corner of her life. First, there's the emotional and mental exhaustion. This isn't just the end of the week tired, it's a deep, soul crushing weariness that a good night's sleep can't fix. Sally was emotionally hollowed out. She'd tell me about how she'd be driving home, her mind replaying a conversation with a student whose parents were divorcing. She'd lie awake at night worrying about the child who came to school hungry. These intrusive thoughts are a classic sign of secondary traumatic stress, a condition where you start having symptoms similar to PTSD just from being exposed to someone else's trauma. This led to a pervasive feeling of helplessness and anger. She witnessed so much pain, but she was powerless to fix the real problems. She couldn't stop an eviction or heal a broken family. She did what she could: a listening ear, a safe space, a granola bar. But she knew it was just a band-aid on an open chest wound. That feeling of inadequacy ate away at Sally. I saw her become more irritable and more cynical. Small classroom annoyances that she used to handle with a smile suddenly felt like personal attacks. Of course, this then destroyed her sense of professional effectiveness. The passion that once fueled her now felt like a liability. She started to feel disconnected from her students and her work. This is called depersonalization, and it's a key symptom of both burnout and compassion fatigue. It's a defense mechanism. When caring hurts too much, you just stop caring, or you try to. Lessons she used to love planning felt like a chore. She was just going through the motions because the spark was gone. And it didn't just stop in the classroom, it followed her home too. I remember her saying that when her partner asked about her day, she either unleashed a torrent of heartbreaking stories or she just shut down and say, "I'm fine." She was building a wall around herself, isolating herself because she just didn't have the emotional energy to connect with others. Her relationships suffered. Her hobbies vanished. All her energy was being devoured by her job, leaving nothing for herself or her family and friends. There are physical signs too. Chronic fatigue, headaches, she said stomach problems. They're all common when you're under this much emotional strain. Her body was keeping score. She was in a constant state of high alert, and her nervous system was paying the price. She was running on fumes, pouring from a cup that had long been dry, and the consequences were devastating. For Sally, the turning point wasn't some big dramatic blow-up. It was a slow burn that ended in one quiet, shattering moment that she told me about later. A brilliant and funny girl in her class had handed her a piece of creative writing. It was fantastic. A year ago, Sally would have been over the moon, feeling that rush of pride and joy that is the lifeblood of being a good teacher. But on that day, she just smiled, handed it back, and said, "Good job." As the student walked away, a little of that light gone from her eyes, Sally told me the silence in her own head was deafening. She felt like a hollow shell. That spark, the joy, the very thing that made her a teacher was gone. She wasn't just tired, she was empty. The cost of caring for everyone else had dampened her ability to feel anything at all. In her effort to carry the student's burden, she had lost herself. She came to me that day and for the first time admitted it out loud. "I don't think I could do this anymore," she said. It was a terrifying thing for her to say. Teaching wasn't just her job, it was her identity. But saying those words was also the first step towards her healing. It was the moment she stopped pretending she was fine. It was the moment she realized that her empathy, unchecked and unprotected, wasn't a sustainable source of fuel. That's when we started digging for answers, researching, and talking to others, finally understanding that she wasn't alone. We learned about compassion fatigue and secondary traumatic stress. Now, recognizing the problem was the first, most critical step. Sally understood that if she wanted to keep teaching and be a good teacher, she had to stop setting herself on fire to keep other people warm. She had to learn how to protect her greatest asset, her compassionate heart. Now, before we get into some of the solutions we found, I want to hit pause for a second and ask you to reflect. Does any of this sound familiar? Have you ever felt that hollowness, that feeling of giving until there's absolutely nothing left? If you feel comfortable, share a piece of your story in the comments below. Let's create a space where we can see that we are not alone in this. Your story matters. Now, acknowledging the problem is step one, but recovery requires consciously building an emotional toolkit. That's my superpower. These aren't huge systematic changes. They are small, practical, and powerful strategies you can start using today. These are the things Sally learned to do to save her career and herself. First, and maybe the hardest, is to set firm boundaries. The culture of teaching often celebrates the martyr. Sally had to learn to reclaim her time. This meant actually leaving school at a set time and sticking to it. I'm talking to the administrators. It meant not checking her work email after 6 p.m. It meant learning to use the word no, a practical tip she used, differentiating between what she wished she could do and what she could realistically do. Your limits aren't a weakness. They're a sign of self-awareness. Second, you have to prioritize intentional self-care. And this isn't about a bubble bath. True self-care is the disciplined daily practice of things that actually refill your tank. This is the non-negotiable stuff. Getting enough sleep, moving your body, eating good food, and eating well. Research shows that 10 to 30 minutes of daily physical activity can massively improve your mental health. It's also about scheduling quiet time to disconnect through journaling, meditation, or just sitting in silence. Mindfulness practices have shown to reduce anxiety by training your brain to focus on the present, an amazing antidote to intrusive thoughts. Third, build a strong support network. Compassion fatigue loves isolation. You have to fight that urge to withdraw. Sally found a trusted circle of colleagues where she could be real. This isn't just about complaining, it's about processing. And please do not be afraid to seek professional help. Seeing a therapist isn't a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. It means you value your own health enough to get expert support. Fourth, adopt a mindset of rational compassion. This idea is taken from Paul Bloom. He suggests we make better choices when we aren't drowning in raw emotional empathy. It's the difference between feeling with someone and feeling for them. It lets you show deep care and take helpful action without absorbing their pain as your own. It means asking, what is the most helpful thing I could do for this student right now? Which might mean connecting them with the school counselor, not trying to become their own personal therapist. Finally, actively look for compassion satisfaction. I like saying that. Compassion satisfaction. This is the flip side of the coin. It's the fulfillment and joy you get from your work. You have to actively hunt for the good stuff. Sally started keeping a folder of positive notes from her students. At the end of each day, she would write down one good thing that happened. This intentional focus on the positive is a powerful shield, reminding you of your impact and helping you to balance the emotional scales. Now, the story we've all been told about teaching is one of self-sacrifice. My friend Sally believed that to be a great teacher was to give and give until there's nothing left. But that narrative is broken. It's not sustainable. and it's driving amazing, passionate people out of the profession they love. We have to reframe how we think about empathy. Empathy itself isn't the problem. Unchecked, unprotected, and unsupported empathy is the problem. Your ability to care so deeply is your strength, but like any strength, it has to be managed and protected. Pouring from an empty cup doesn't help anyone, not you, and definitely not your students. Prioritizing your well-being is not selfish. It's a professional requirement. It is the only way you can continue to show up for your students with the energy, patience, and compassion they deserve. Setting boundaries, practicing real self-care, and leaning on support are not signs that you are weak or that you care less. They are signs that you are a wise, resilient professional who is committed to being in it for the long haul. You got into this profession to make a difference. That desire is essential, but you can't forget to nurture yourself. You are not just a teacher. You are a human being too, who deserves the same care you so freely give away. Protect your heart. It's the most important tool you have. Hey y'all, I'm Vanessa and this is Waves of Change. Thanks for sticking with me through this tough but incredibly important conversation. The way out of the empathy trap starts with awareness and is paved with intentional action. Remember to set your boundaries, prioritize your well-being, and lean on your people. Your work is invaluable. Those students need you. If this video resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content on mental and emotional well-being. And please share this video with another teacher, an administrator, or anyone who needs to hear this message. Let's change the conversation and build a more sustainable, supportive culture and education together. Oh yeah, remember, you're never too late and your peace is never too far. Bye now.